Iron meteorites are rare and unique, but this one stands out for its origin from Arizona's famed meteor crater and its excellent condition. This piece was acquired in high school when the father-in-law and a friend curated a natural history museum in their neighborhood in Scarsdale, New York. At the end of the summer, the father-in-law kept the meteorite while the friend took a giant quartz crystal. The guests speculated that the meteorite originated from the meteor crater in Winslow, Arizona. The appraiser confirmed it was indeed an iron meteorite from the Canyon Diablo Fall, a 50,000-year-old crater in northern Arizona. Despite its smaller size, the piece is substantial and characteristic of the famed meteor crater. Authenticating its origin is crucial, and a geologist could verify the mineral content to match other known samples. The guest was advised to contact major museums for further validation. Given its appearance and mineral crystallization, the appraiser valued it at.
If this meteorite was to come up for auction, I would give it an auction estimate of $15,000 to $20,000.
Really? Whoa. Pretty good for a lump of iron, huh?
This Wooden Works tool clock boasts an intriguing history and unique craftsmanship.
It has all wooden gears, so from what we understand from a clock shop in Charlotte where we took it to get cleaned.
It features all wooden gears and dates back to the early 19th century. This was a period when wooden mechanisms were favored for their cost-effectiveness over brass.
They do run well when you have a nice arid climate. But what attracted you to this clock to buy it?
Well, the face is, I think, very attractive, and just the simplicity of the case itself.
Also, this piece was crafted between 1827 and 1835. Interestingly, the clock's poplar case, once painted, now appears simple but charming, hinting its utilitarian origins. True allure lies in the dial, an exquisite example of folk art. The vibrant colors, remarkable signature, and unique quirks elevate its appeal. However, this clock is a testament to both historical craftsmanship and timeless artistry, and is valued at.
In a retail situation, I would expect this clock to sell in the $4,000 to $5,000 range.
Oh, really?
Because of the dial. It's just fantastic. It's one of the best I've ever seen.
Thank you. That's great news.
The Civil War Federal Group tintype brings history to life with its rich details and character.
We just kept it in the closet forever, but I know there is a Civil War picture. I'm not certain how old it is or what they represent.
Well, you're absolutely right. It is a Civil War tintype.
Capturing Western federal soldiers, this photograph shows a fascinating array of uniforms and personal items, making it a unique relic from the First War to extensively used photography.
Here, this fellow over here is wearing an interesting shell jacket. This gentleman right here has a fantastic civilian hat. He's wearing a civilian shirt, too.
Yeah.
We've got a gentleman here who appears to be carrying a plant revolver.
Unlike Civil War photographs featuring single soldiers in standard poses, this tintype stands out with its dynamic scene. The soldiers wear a mix of 4-button sack coats, shell jackets, civilian hats, and even a scarce plant revolver. The American flag in the background adds patriotic significance, while one soldier's ID badge, a precursor to modern dog tags, highlights the war's harsh realities. This group image brims with personality and historical value, elevating its worth far beyond the average Civil War tintype. However, this tintype vividly represents not just a moment in history, but the individual stories of the men within its frame and is worth.
In a retail setting today, would be approximately $1,000 to $1,200.
Wow.
This cabinet tells stories, whispering secrets of a bygone era through its intricate carvings and timeless design. It was given to the guest by their grandfather 20 years ago for their 25th birthday. The grandfather had asked the guest's mother if there was anything they had ever wanted, and she mentioned a cabinet with birds on the front. The grandfather found it in his closet and gave it to the guest. The cabinet was made in 1884, as indicated on the front. The appraiser noted that the cabinet style was typical of the aesthetic movement from that period. They explained that Cincinnati, a rapidly growing city at the time, had many cabinet makers. One prominent maker was Ben Pittman, an Englishman involved with the local art academy and university. Pittman's distinctive style included stippled backgrounds on flat carved panels and nature motifs. The appraiser suggested that while the cabinet was not signed, it was likely made by Pittman or one of his followers. They highlighted the cabinet's detailed mahogany carving. It also features lovely brass strap hinges that are characteristic of the aesthetic movement, and for auction.
So I think for insurance purposes, the value for a piece like this would probably be about $8,000 or $9,000.
Wow.
Teapots have been cherished across different cultures for their unique ability to retain heat and enhance the flavor of tea. A notable example is this teapot exhibited on the show, which was gifted to the guest by her mother. This teapot is crafted from porcelain and features a fish-shaped spout, a fish-shaped knob, and fish motifs on the side. At the bottom, we can discern both painted stylized waves and waves in relief. Additionally, there is a pierced gallery around a fish figure at the top. We can identify this teapot as originating from Japan based on its design.
An Asian creation. The teapot as we know it, this ovoid shape with a loop handle, was created in China for the first time. And then that was adopted by the Japanese, and it became something that was extraordinarily popular in China and Japan far earlier than it was here in the West.
It also bears the maker's mark, Makazu Kozan, at the bottom. Makazu Kozan, who was a Japanese ceramist who lived from 1842 to 1916.
What a lot of people don't realize is that this basic form, which we associate with the West,
This piece has been very well preserved, which further enhances its value. At auction, this vintage teapot, considering its renowned maker and intricate design, would be valued at.
so you'll need to know the value for insurance purposes. Let's try about $14,000.
Wow. Whew. Wow, that's incredible.
The guest presented an eye-catching drawing of her grandfather, which was created by a friend of her grandparents.
Well, it had to have been before 1965 because that's when he passed away.
Alexander Calder. Calder, an American sculptor renowned for his innovative mobiles that incorporate elements of chance in their aesthetics, signed the drawing in the lower right corner. The artwork is distinguished by Calder's characteristic bold single fluid lines. Remarkably, the piece is in excellent condition. Given its provenance and current state, the drawing is estimated to be worth.
Drawings like this do come up, quick sketches done, simply head, not even head and shoulders sometimes. And comparable drawings these days, based on those prices, probably value this today at auction at $3,000 to $5,000.
On display in the show is an oil painting by Oliver Dennett Grover, an American landscape and mural painter. This painting was purchased by our guest at a yard sale. It is signed and dated 1885 by the artist in the lower right corner. The painting depicts a Venetian scene with two women in a courtyard. Interestingly, Grover used minimal paints for this piece and is executed on wood. Although the painting is currently very dirty, it can be easily restored with some cleaning.
Beautiful little subject, very reminiscent of the work of Sargent or Chase, other great American artists.
Grover's works are highly collectible, and this painting could fetch a value of.
I would say we'd probably get about $3,000 to $5,000 for this painting at auction.
Cool. Cool.
This guest created his own custom jewelry hat, adorning it with pieces inherited from his aunt.
I had no way of exhibiting them, and I wanted to wear them and show them so that people that collected jewelry would be fascinated by it. I wear it on very special occasions, and I thought today would be a very festive day to wear it.
Among the dazzling array of stones on the hat are Eisenberg originals, along with pieces from Kramer, Lavender, and others, greatly cherished by the guest. This hat was worn as an effort to showcase his impressive jewelry collection. Each piece of jewelry on the hat has its own story, reflecting the rich history and elegance of vintage craftsmanship. While he did not initially seek an appraisal, the guest was shocked to discover that his custom hat was worth.
It's probably worth somewhere around $1,500 to $2,000.
Really?
Yes. Do you think that's sufficient for all the work and years of collecting?
This painting was given to this guest's great aunt.
And that was passed to my parents, and my parents gave it to me about 15 years ago.
The painting is clearly signed. It's dated 1926. It was in 1938 that he had co-founded this transcendental art movement.
It is an oil painting executed on canvas by Raymond Johnson, an American-born modernist painter known for his depictions of the American Southwest. This painting is atypical of Johnson's work, being much more representational rather than his usual transcendental art that emphasizes spirituality over pure form. Signed and dated 1926, this piece is titled Pot and Blanket. Presented in excellent condition, a painting of this quality and significance is estimated to be worth.
Auction purposes today, you're probably talking about $25,000 to $35,000. So it's really a valuable thing.
Oh my gosh, that's wonderful. Thank you.
Our gaze falls upon this beautiful piece presented on the show. This is a silk panel of Chinese origin, purchased by the guest from a friend who found it at a flea market in Portugal.
I've owned it for 26 years. A friend of mine was starting an interior design business, and she brought this back from a flea market in Portugal.
The appraiser suggests it was made for a wedding celebration, as the depicted figures of boys raising banners are highly indicative of such events. The piece would have most likely adorned the wall of the room where the celebration took place. Dated back to around 1880, this immaculate piece showcases the rich tradition and cultural significance of the Chinese wedding ceremony. At auction, this exquisite silk panel would sell for a considerable sum, estimated at.
Oh,
You know what it's worth?
I have no idea.
What if I said $4,000 to $6,000 at auction?
Oh, I would be very impressed.
This guest's parents were close acquaintances of the artist.
She left Chicago, she went to LA, and I lost contact with her other than one visit. But they were longtime friends, and my father used to be in contact with her all the time down in LA.
We see a lot of her pottery.
And the guest inherited this remarkable collection from them. Polia Pillin, a Polish-American ceramist, was one of the leading American ceramists of the 20th century, renowned for her hand-thrown pottery using engobe and gaze techniques. The collection features 2 watercolor or gouache paintings. The first piece is a Mexican scene, bearing the artist's signature and valued at.
And you see the landscapes, $1,000 to $1,500.
The second, much more valuable and rare, is a portrait work estimated to be worth.
And we seem to agree that an auction estimate of $8,000 to $12,000.
Oh my.
Additionally, the collection includes a charming little piece of pottery, not particularly unique or rare, but still a delightful addition, selling for.
But a plate like this at auction would probably bring about $200.
This guest brought a painting that was given as a wedding gift to his parents in 1940.
I got it when they moved out of Chicago and they were moving to a smaller house, and some of the items in the house I acquired. That was about more than 30 years ago.
Wow.
The painting was by Joseph Henry Sharp, an artist associated with the Taos School in New Mexico. The appraiser provided background details about the artist, who was renowned for his paintings of Native American scenes and landscapes. Sharp's works gained significant recognition, with the Smithsonian purchasing some of his pieces. The painting in question was an oil on canvas depicting a Taos scene, featuring a conversation between 2 Native Americans. Moreover, it featured Sharp's characteristic use of light and shadow. The appraiser admired the piece's superb condition, with no damage, tears, or significant wear. Considering the desirability and strong market value, the painting's value was suggested to be.
If it were in a gallery, I would expect it to sell in the range of $400,000.
$400,000.
Yes.
It's a lot.
Yes.
The guest presented an autograph album that had belonged to her husband's great aunt. The appraiser examined the album and provided detailed information about it. The album featured a Dutch 17th century silver binding, which was elaborately engraved on both sides. However, the appraiser noted that the binding was somewhat loose. The book itself was a 19th century volume that had been placed into this antique binding. This autograph album contained signatures from several notable visitors. Among these signatures was that of Peter Ilyich Tchaikovsky, who not only signed the book, but also included a musical quotation in 1891. Other significant autographs included those of Mark Twain and Rudyard Kipling. The appraiser highlighted the excellent condition of the signatures, noting their cleanliness and neatness. Due to the album's historical significance, the suggested value was,
I think that this album would be worth around $10,000 today. Wow. So you have really a nice little family heirloom.
The guest presented 2 bronze animal sculptures from a gallery in San Jose. These beautiful pieces were created by Ben Bufano, who began a series of animal sculptures in the 1930s. The appraiser provided background details about Bufano, highlighting his significant contributions to the art scene in San Francisco and the Bay Area. Bufano was renowned for working in various media, including drawing, painting, terracotta sculpture, glass mosaic, and large-scale public murals. These particular sculptures are believed to be from the later part of Bufano's career, likely purchased in the 1960s. The appraiser noted that both sculptures were signed and numbered at the base, indicating their limited edition. The guest expressed delight at the appraised value of the pieces.
I would expect these at auction to bring about $10,000.
Okay. Together?
That's together.
Okay.
So if I were to price these separately, I would actually put a little bit more on the hedgehog that's near me.
Yay!
A graphite drawing was presented at the show, accompanied by a captivating family story.
It usually comes with a really great story, too. So when did this first come into your family?
The first item entered into the guest's family in the late 1800s through his great-great-uncle, Wynyard. This remarkable piece was created by the renowned American Western artist, Charlie Russell. Wynyard met Russell and traveled with him on a trip to Alberta, Canada. During their stay, Wynyard kept Russell's paintings and sketches in exchange for the horse and saddle Russell took. The appraiser underscored the significance of Russell's trip to Alberta, where he resided with the Blackfeet tribe. The graphite drawing depicts Russell's painting, while members of the Blackfeet tribe observe. On the other side of the drawing is a portrait of an Indian chief. The appraiser emphasized the importance of authenticating it as an original Russell piece. If confirmed as genuine, the drawing could have an insurance value of,
I think when it is authenticated, it could have an insurance value of $20,000. Russell is an extraordinarily important and beloved American artist.
The guest presented a pair of Anderons that had been in her family for years.
They sat in our house for a long time in our fireplace.
The appraiser explained that Anderons are used to support logs in fireplaces.
It goes in a fireplace to support logs. These are made for a long fireplace. Most fireplaces are not going to be that deep.
The back part of the particular Anderons had been replaced, likely due to wear and tear. Various features were discussed to determine the age of the Anderons. One notable feature was a line down the Anderons, indicating they were made by joining 2 molds together. Another feature mentioned was that newer Anderons typically have a rod with a nut, rather than a peened over rod at their base. This specific pair of Anderons had ball and talon feet, acorn finials on top, and an American eagle engraved on the front. This engraving suggested that the Anderons originated from Philadelphia. Based on these distinctive features, the estimated value was,
a good estimate for these circa 1800 Anderons would be $5,000 to $7,000.
You're kidding.
No.
Oh my gosh.
So.
We have here a vintage map of the United States. This piece was acquired by a guest at a local school library auction 10 years ago.
The local maps of Rochester were all taken, and I happened to see this and looked pretty interesting, so I took it in hand and left with it.
The map was issued by the Colton firm in New York in 1853, Joseph Hutchins Colton. It is mounted on linen and attached to rollers so it can be hung.
Maps like this were issued and then laid onto linen, and you can see a little bit of the linen up here. And then they were varnished with varnish to protect them and attached to rollers like this so they could be hung, and they were hung in land offices and law offices.
The map features the states of the country and many detailed routes. Furthermore, maps like this one were in high demand in the 19th century by immigrants arriving in the country at the time.
For instance, people going out on the Oregon Trail could look on this map, and up here you can see you have the Oregon route.
Interestingly, this particular map is very rare, and it's even rarer to find one in such good condition. Given its historical significance to the USA, this map would easily fetch a price of,
I would say a map like this would sell for between $1,200 and $1,500.
That's nice.
Which is a pretty good return on your $2 investment.
Yeah.
It's too bad that the library got rid of it.
That's exactly true.
These sculptures are classically beautiful. The sculptures, inherited by this guest, are the work of Edward Burge, a popular sculptor from the early 20th century. Edward Burge. Burge was known for his traditional sculpting style, often focusing on beautifully observed and modelled nudes and fountains. This piece, called Wildflower, is one of his most famous works and was part of a series based on different flowers.
He was a popular sculptor, turn of the century, and other than that, I don't know a whole lot more.
Okay. Actually, we think his name was pronounced Berge.
Berge.
Right,
okay.
Edward Berge.
Okay.
And he was born in Baltimore, and he studied here at the Reinhardt.
The sculpture is signed by Burge and cast by the Roman Bronze Works. Additionally, adding to its authenticity and value, the other sculpture was cast at a different foundry, known as the Zappo Foundry, based in New York.
And then there's another one that's about 40 inches high. And this one, not only is it signed by Berge himself.
This sculpture, a rendition of Wildflower, at auction, is estimated to bring.
This one also is wonderful because it has a great patina on it. It's nicely modeled. This one has a different foundry on it.
While the other beautifully cast bronze sculpture by Burge could fetch.
At auction would probably bring between $2,000 and $3,000.
No kidding. Oh, no.
And this young lady here, again, beautifully cast bronze, I would think at auction would probably bring $3,000, $4,000.
Oh, no.
Well, thanks for bringing them in.
Well, thank you so much.
Good.
There's quite a fascination with memorabilia being cherished. Imagine how ecstatic this guest must feel upon owning such pieces of memorabilia from Marilyn Monroe. Marilyn Monroe. The memorabilia includes a letter from the guest's brother during the Korean War in 1954 and a tissue with Marilyn Monroe's lipstick on it.
And you have the tissue with lipstick on it of Marilyn's. We can't bury the lead here. It's Marilyn Monroe's lipstick that we're looking at.
The letter details how he obtained the tissue from Marilyn Monroe's dressing room after a performance for the troops. The letter is written on official 1st Marines Division stationery, confirming the authenticity of the story. Marilyn Monroe performed for over 100,000 troops in Korea during a 4-day tour in 1954, leaving a lasting impression.
This letter is everything. So what's interesting is this is on his official stationery, and we have all of the signifiers that make sense for 1st Marines Division, which is what he was in.
Okay. The tissue, preserved with her lipstick, is an extraordinary artifact, surviving against all odds. Given its unique provenance and the cultural impact of Marilyn Monroe, this piece is conservatively valued at.
But because Marilyn touched it and her lipstick's on there, I think conservatively an auction estimate would be at least $3,000 to $5,000.
Wow.
And I can't imagine that there wouldn't be some Marilyn collectors who would definitely compete for that because it's such a unique artifact.
Yeah, that's amazing.
There's something deeply impactful about this particular work of art. This is a painting by the New Haven artist Winfred Rembert, entitled Moonshiners, hand-carved and tooled on leather. Winfred Rembert. Rembert's art reflects his experiences growing up in the Jim Crow South. He learned to create these remarkable pieces during his time in prison.
We did have a choice. It was his very modest home, and they were all lined up. There was probably 12, 13 paintings. It was all his community, his experiences. this spoke to us, and it hangs in our dining rooms.
This technique of painting on leather, which he mastered in prison, adds distinction to his works. Rembert's personal history of survival and resilience adds profound depth to his artwork. His autobiography, Chasing Me to My Grave, won the Pulitzer Prize in 2021, further solidifying his legacy. This painting's depiction of moonshiners and the vibrant scenes of daily life in the South make it a powerful narrative piece.
During his imprisonment, he actually learned to read, and then he learned to write. He met his wife while in prison, Patsy.
In today's market, given its historical significance and unique artistry, this painting could retail for.
In today's market, retail, I would have no problem saying this is somewhere between $100,000 and $125,000.
Are you serious?
An old family pendant from the late 1800s shows its surprising worth and importance. The guest explains that the pendant originally belonged to her grandmother from Atlanta and dates back to the late 1800s. After her grandmother moved to New Jersey, the guest's father inherited it, and it eventually became hers in 1988. When first appraised, it was valued at $10,000. She's worn it only once for her wedding, and her sister wore it for hers, while it mostly stays in a safe deposit box. The appraiser confirmed the piece contained diamonds and natural pearls with platinum metal and identified it as Edwardian from around 1905. The top diamond is nearly 2 carats, totaling 7 carats of diamonds, with much value centered on the 5-carat diamond. The appraiser confirmed the pendant is authentic, in original condition, and in its original box, which is rare and valuable. Altogether, the piece has about 7 carats of diamonds. While estimating the value of the item, the appraiser said, "Paintings are not just decorations, they tell stories and preserve history." The painting was saved from an Illinois high school, built in 1918. After a 2004 tornado destroyed the school's museum, the guest's mother rescued it, and that's how the guest got it. The appraiser says the painting is by Catherine Wireman, a female illustrator from Pennsylvania, born in the late 1800s. Despite challenges for women artists then, she had a successful career. She made covers for the Saturday Evening Post, illustrated children's books, and created ads for Ivory soap using her children as models. The oil painting, likely from the 1920s or 1930s, is in good condition despite some wear and still has its original frame. Its value comes from Wireman's success, and the child depicted possibly one of her own. While examining the condition of the item, the appraiser said, "The item represents the pinnacle of all luxury jewelry. It's an exquisite ring made from diamond and sapphire, which are 2 of the most valuable gemstones in the world. The sapphire is quite prominent and is called a Ceylon sapphire."
Great, and that's all the information that was provided.
That's all we know.
Well, I'm very curious because I do believe that this could be a Ceylon sapphire.
Sapphires like Ceylon originate from Sri Lanka, and it is likely that this is a treasured item from that place. The ring was likely made between the 1950s and the 1970s and has maintained top quality. A ring like this would be a dream item in a jewelry collection of an antique collector. At an auction, this beautiful ring would retail for the price of.
I would say for auction purposes, you would be looking at an estimate of $40,000 to $60,000.
My gosh, I don't believe it.
It's
fantastic.
A glance at this beautiful necklace, and you can already perceive the luxury of the item. This is a rare piece of jewelry called a Tiffany & Company pearl and diamond necklace. As the name suggests, it's made from rare items, diamond and pearl. This Tiffany & Co. necklace was created in 1910, and at the time, Tiffany & Co. were known as one of the most luxurious jewelry makers. We know this necklace as a Tiffany piece because it is signed, and also because of the pearls.
He was 29 when he won the Paris gold medal in 1889 at an exhibition. Wow. In 1891, Tiffany's made Farnham his lead designer at Tiffany's.
The necklace was designed by Tiffany's lead designer, Paulding Farnham. This beautiful pearl and diamond necklace, at a proper jewelry auction, would sell for.
We could get in an auction. We'd say $80,000 to $100,000.
No way.
Yes, yes. These little pearls, they're probably $5,000. Do not lose these. These have to go back on. I would say you're looking at an appraisal to insure and replace at $200,000. So I would be very careful.
This item is quite an odd one because it has a correlation to death. This is a death mask of the former Prime Minister, William Gladstone. To many collectors, this might not be the dream item to add to their collection, but because it represents the mask of an influential figure in British politics, it is quite valuable. Death masks were used throughout history as models for sculptors to create statues.
And they have to be propped up, do they not, in a chair in order for the plaster cast to work?
I think they do. It's all a bit grim.
Oddly enough, the attention to detail put into crafting the death mask is top-notch. The death mask is kept in a chest to show just how valuable it is.
Sense of continuity that they did then. So I don't think it was thought of as a gloomy thing. I think it was thought of as somebody who's gone on a bit ahead.
At a suitable auction, this death mask, along with its chest, would retail at the price of...
I mean, I suppose we're talking around about £5,000 or £6,000.
Well, it's not for sale.
A guest on the show bought a pair of spurs that had belonged to her father before he passed away. The maker of these spurs was an Italian craftsman named Joe Bianchi. Bianchi was a world-class spur maker who immigrated to Victoria, Texas in 1885. He was known for typically mounting silver coins on the spurs he made.
First of all, they are handmade. He forged them on an anvil. A lot of times on the inside they would say handmade, and he would stamp them.
On this pair, he used Mexican pesos. Each spur was handmade and forged on an anvil.
That's what he was known for. Lived in the late 1800s and clear up into the 20th century. Made a lot of spurs. Made a lot of spurs for ranchers in this area.
Inside the pair, there is a stamp of the maker's name. A pair of spurs like these, embodying the craftsmanship of their maker, would be valued at.
I think they would probably bring, conservatively, $3,000 to $3,500. So they are valuable spurs. Your dad told you right. I don't think they were worth that much when he had them.
Oh, probably not.
But they are now.
She found it in the garage office while going through her father's storage room after he passed. The Tiffany Studios Daffodil Lampshade is a prized Art Nouveau piece by Louis Comfort Tiffany. This lampshade showcases the studio's stained and leaded glass mastery. Tiffany Studios signed this masterpiece. The copper foiling loosens because of the beeswax.
It was located in Corona, Queens, and they closed in 1933. Now, just because it's signed doesn't always mean it's right. However, this is real.
The daffodil lampshade features vibrant yellow flowers and green leaves in rich stained glass. They embody Art Nouveau ideals and Louis Comfort Tiffany's technical brilliance and artistic vision. With great admiration and precision, the appraiser valued the item.
I would say before 1906. As a shade by itself, in a retail venue, this could sell for between $25,000 and $30,000.
You're kidding.
Not at all. I'm not kidding.
This timepiece exemplifies decades of watchmaking excellence. Our guest presented the wristwatch, which she inherited from her grandmother.
So it was sort of used so she could hide the scar on her arm.
It did.
It's a great looking piece, and this is what we call a retro piece.
At first glance, the item appears to be a brooch, but opening the center reveals the watch. It is a retro piece made in the 1940s by Cartier. Crafted in the form of a stylized fluted heart, the watch is made of 18-karat gold and is inlaid with multicolored gemstones. Pieces by Cartier are highly sought after. In this pristine condition, this gold wristwatch is estimated to be worth.
At auction, I would expect that this item would bring somewhere between $20,000 to $25,000.
Fabulous. Yippee-ki!
Yeah, you like that?
Yeah, I like that.
It's a very exciting piece.
This chest is the perfect definition of impenetrable. It was crafted by the Persians in 1900. and is called a Shiraz chest. The first thing you would notice on the surface of the chest is the design pattern, and this can largely be attributed to the creativity of the Persians. This particular chest was made on the coast of Iran at a place called Shiraz, and they were loaded into small sailboats to keep treasured items.
Really? So I know a bit about them. They were made on the coast of Iran. Shiraz was a big place. They were also made in India. This particular one is in Shiraz, and it's typical of the kind of things that they put on the dhows.
The chest is still in great shape despite being crafted in the 1900s. At a suitable auction, selling this chest would fetch the price of,
in a good gallery or in a decorative showroom, maybe even more, $2,500 to $3,500. Wow.
This seemingly ordinary piece of paper is actually a part of history. It's a letter written by American writer and humorist Mark Twain. For someone remembered as a humorist and a great writer, this letter is the exact opposite of what most would expect from Mark Twain.
That your secretary is afflicted with the several infirmities usual to his guild: indifference, unfaithfulness, incapacity, discourtesy, and chronic fatigue.
The letter expresses Mark's displeasure with the authorities at a school in the 1900s, and he clearly didn't hold back with his words, even though it was in written form. We can see the letter is signed by Mark himself, as a way of telling the authorities he means business. As this is an original letter by Mark Twain, it would auction for the price of.
Good saucy Twain letter sells for about $3,000 to $5,000 at auction in today's market.
Great.
This item is unlike any chest you have seen because it has no drawers. The chest is called a painted blanket chest. It is particularly unique because of the stenciling painting style used on it. Stenciling was invented in around 2000 BC as a way of beautifying metals. The method was rather famous among rich aristocrat women who loved the stencil designs. We can see many beautiful patterns on the metal chest. It is believed that before the chest is painted, it is first assembled together. At auction, this beautifully painted blanket chest would retail for the price of.
We all think it would bring $2,500 to $3,500 at auction.
My goodness.
We turn our sights to this antique sign from the late 19th century, rescued from the trash of a house being torn down.
It came from an old house that was being torn down in Trevesca, and the people were disposing of this stuff, and we picked this one up.
This is a reverse painted glass whiskey sign advertising the economy whiskey established by the Harmony Society. The Harmony Society. The interior design is immaculate and showcases exquisite detailing. The original frame of the sign adds significant value to the piece. Its vibrant colors and intricate artwork capture the attention of anyone who sees it. Although the appraiser expresses concern about the condition of the sign, its quality and historical significance give it an estimated value of.
Wouldn't hesitate to estimate this between $3,000 and $5,000.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a really nice piece.
The items here all look authentic, but there's a fake. We have gingerbread models from different continents. A closer look at them reveals they might either be real or fake. There is an 1830 English gingerbread mold, and we also have another continental gingerbread mold from the 19th century.
Made in the second half of the 19th century, to the signs of age, such as the woodworm holes on the back.
Then there is another mold called a sugar mold. Finally, there is the last gingerbread mold from the early 18th century. If you were to pick the fake mold, which of these molds would you pick? These seemingly normal fragments are some of the oldest things you'll see today. To a casual observer, these fragments might look like ordinary stones you'd find on the ground, but they are in fact more special than you think because they are Roman antiques. There is so much detail in these antique fragments, and interestingly enough, many of these fragments each tell a story to the owner.
I mean, you've got fabulous things here like this painted plaster, and what I love about it is just holding it. You imagine this.
There are a variety of items in this collection of Roman antiques, and most of them are still in good shape for items that have endured many centuries.
When you handle antiques, when you handle antiquities like this, you're getting closer to these people that made these, that lived with them.
At an auction, this collection of antiquity fragments would retail at the price of...
You might find two enthusiasts like yourself who go to maybe £100.
All roads lead to the Motown Museum, home of Hitsville, USA. On the show, we are presented with two great hits from the American record label, Motown. Founded as Tamala Records on January 12, 1959, by Berry Gordy Jr., the record label played a pivotal role in the racial integration of pop music. Among its legendary catalogue, the records presented here are some of the creme of the crop. Firstly, we have the album titled The Jazz Soul of Little Stevie, released in 1962 by the boy wonder Stevie Wonder. This album is rare because it was his first album and didn't sell as many copies. Its value is estimated at
Can range anywhere between $50 to $250 to $300 in near mint condition.
The other album is Meet the Supremes by The Supremes, featuring the iconic American singer and actress Diana Ross. Their debut album, originally released in 1962 and reissued in 1965, is notable for its historic significance. The first release didn't make as many sales as the second, making it rare, and its market value estimated at...
It's going to sell for about $1,000.
Well, Laura, it's really great to talk about these collectible albums.
This is an intriguing collection of sock darners, inherited by the guest from her mother, an astute collector.
These were my mother's. She collected them.
You have a great collection of sock darners.
The collection ranges from highly valuable to ordinary sock darners, all used for the simple purpose of darning, a sewing technique for repairing holes or worn areas in fabric. According to the appraiser, the most valuable darner in this collection is made from the Orenby of the Steuben Glass Company in America. Its exquisite craftsmanship and rarity make it a standout piece. Along with many other darners, this collection of over 30 darners is collectively worth...
The whole collection at auction, it would probably go somewhere between $1,000 and $1,200.
This is a highly treasured piece of family heirloom, given to the guest's great-grandmother as a wedding gift.
Ever since I was a child, I always remember my mother would hide it in the closet whenever we would leave town. So I knew it was something very special to her. I believe that it was my great-grandmother's.
It is a silver pitcher made by Thomas Charles Fletcher, a prominent American silversmith and merchant in the 19th century. Fletcher co-founded the Fletcher and Gardiner firm, from where this exquisite piece was produced. The pitcher displays a wonderful neoclassical design, showcasing the craftsmanship of its era.
You see the wonderful neoclassical lines here, and we have this cartouche shield with the American eagle.
The appraiser dates it to the 1830s, noting that it was probably made for the southern market. Preserved in excellent condition, this antique silver pitcher has an estimated value of...
You should insure it for $9,000. Where will the next hiding place be?
Well, I can't tell you that.
Fine art photography captures moments, but this Ansel Adams sign print of Yosemite Valley is truly exceptional. A guest brought in an Ansel Adams sign print of Yosemite Valley in California's Yosemite National Park. Ansel Adams, who fell in love with the natural landscape, took many trips to Yosemite, starting in the 1920s. By the 1930s, he committed to fine art photography, focusing on the California landscape. The image, titled Valley View, was created in 1936, early in Adams' career. In 1958, Adams began producing special editions with a team of darkroom technicians, supervising but not personally printing the photos. The guest's print from one of these special editions is hand-stamped and signed by Adams. Today, unsigned prints from the Adams Gallery in Yosemite sell for $250. As it is a special edition print, the appraiser valued it as...
The auction market, they generally sell between $2,000 and $3,500.
Wow.
Cars are often admired for their design and history, but this model car is an exceptional piece with a fascinating story. A guest brought in a model car from an estate sale rumored to be a prop from a Charlie Chaplin film. The appraiser praised the car's stunning detail, identifying it as an Isotta Fraschini, a prestigious Italian vehicle. Believing it was used in a film, the appraiser noted its suitability for long-distance scenes in 30s and 40s movies. The car's intricate features and a small metal hook indicated it was part of a miniature landscape setup. The appraiser suggested it might have been in The Great Dictator, Chaplin's satire on Hitler, as the car resembled a Mercedes favorite by Hitler. They advised the guest to verify this by closely watching the film. As a model, it was valued by the appraiser as,
just as a model of a classic car, I think it would be easily worth $1,500 to $1,800.
If confirmed to be a movie prop, its value could rise from $5,000 to $6,000.
That this was actually a prop from a movie as great as The Great Dictator and a Chaplin film to boot, I think you're in the $5,000 to $6,000 range.
Wow.
This autograph collection is a remarkable piece of aviation history. The guest's father began collecting autographs in 1927, starting with Admiral Richard Byrd. Byrd was an American naval officer, pioneering aviator, polar explorer, and organizer of polar logistics. The collection includes autographs from aviation legends like Amelia Earhart, signed shortly before her disappearance in 1937. Amelia Earhart. Another highlight is Neil Armstrong's autograph, with a personal note expressing his pride in being among aviation pioneers. Neil Armstrong. The collection also features signatures from all 7 Project Mercury astronauts.
And then up at the top here we have all 7 of the Project Mercury astronauts signed on.
A French aviator, inventor, and engineer's signature is also part of this extensive collection, Louis Blériot. This comprehensive collection spans from 19th century ballooning to late 20th century space exploration, although this collection's worth extends beyond its monetary value to its historical significance. Monetarily, it's still valued at.
The collection would bring $12,000 to $15,000 and more for all the hundreds of other autographs that you have in the collection.
So these are just the ones that you actually were able to
looked
find.
at, yes.